So when I say that I think I know what makes a human mind tick, I reckon I've got a bit of an idea. But I want to tell you this one last, just heartwarming story. Love this girl. If we could clone this girl, we would. I would just go in and buy a dozen. And Bronwyn's not her real name, but she came to us, single mother of 2 kids under 5, sexually molested earlier on in her life. She believes that was the incident that brought her to serious cervical cancer issue. Of course, we can't prove that. Went on to find the soulmate. Isn't that funny? She realised a dream. Have a go at this. She built in Canberra, near where we live, a women's support network with over 15,000 members by herself as a single mother. And got in bed with her sister and built an award-winning cash-spitting business. So can you have it all? Absolutely. Does that make sense? Okay, could you do what they've done? Yeah, you could. You could. The only thing you need is the tools. So what I want to do is 3 things with you today. And we'll run through this as quick as we can and then get on with it. I want to show you how to find and eradicate the blockages that create unbalance or struggle in your life. Does that make sense? In other words, if you're not successful in every part of your life that you want to be successful in, then what I'm saying is that you've got a blockage to that and you just need to remove the blockage. You don't really need to learn a whole pile of techniques and processes, you've just got to get a blockage out of the way. The other thing I want to do is demonstrate to you in the shortest possible time how we can pull a blockage out of someone. And if we've got time today and if I talk as fast as we can actually do it right here in front of you. Will that be fun? See someone get unblocked? May not be you, but when I say we've got any volunteers, don't be too slow getting your hands up. And interesting enough, you know, March has said, well, I forget who it was who said that the personal development industry is, no, it was John Childers who said what was third most popular product is personal development. And what I know is that we're in the personal development industry, and that industry has grown 40% per year for the last 5 years. And if you're not in it, that's okay. I reckon I've got a way that you could be. Would you be interested in that? Okay, so let's dive into it. You ready? I've got to give you an hour. I've got to give you about a day in an hour now. So if you don't get all the things that you want by just sheer luck, in other words, if you're not born healthy, just lucky, then you might be born unhealthy. So if we get luck out of the picture and say, how are you going to generate the results that you want, then your major resource is going to be you, isn't it? Yep. Specifically, which part of you? Your brain. So if we represent your brain with this circle, then we're talking about 200 billion brain cells. Does that sound like a lot? It ought to. If each one of these brain cells was $1 and you spent $1 every second, which is $3,600 per hour, and you spent this $3,500 per hour, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, how many of you, A, would be having fun? And B, can you figure out how long it would take you to spend it? In other words, how long until you run out? If you haven't got a calculator with you, you're just going to have a guess. So any guesses how long it would take you to spend it? 6,790 something years. Now, do any of you feel like your brain's not quite operating at that level? In fact, if you had a day where someone offered you $5 for your brain, you'd take it. And feel like you'd ripped them off. So your brain operates on 3 different levels. You'll be familiar with the labels that we put on these as soon as you see them. So they operate simultaneously at this level. You're familiar with these labels? How many of you are familiar with this stuff? Okay, so we can move that over the side and have a look at what happens. So what happens in the conscious brain is that you talk to yourself. So hands up if you're aware that you talk to yourself. That's normal. I've got a psychologist friend in Brisbane who says 2 out of 3 Australians are normal. I hope he's wrong. We probably need more than that. In fact, let's just test him. What I want you to do is have a look at the person on either side of you for a second. Just take a quick glance at the person on either side of you. Okay, that'll do. I didn't say start a new relationship, just... Okay, if both of them looked all right, guess who the problem is? All right, so what you'll have in your head is that conversation running all the time. In your subconscious, what you'll have is a combination of pictures, thoughts, sounds, feelings, that whole 5 senses thing. Are you aware of that? Okay, so I'll get you to use your memory and we'll illustrate. So I want you to take your mind back to the last time you're down the beach and tell me what you get in your head. It's not words, is it? The first thing you're going to get is a smell or a taste or whatever, so one of the 5 senses, plus a feeling about whether it was any fun or not. So it only takes 10% of your brain to run consciously. It only takes 50 or it takes a massive 50 or 60% to run subconsciously. Does that make sense? This is like comparing text and graphics. Does that work for you if I use a computer analogy? So text versus graphics. So we can run into a problem every now and then. If you've got 10% telling you to go to one direction and you've got 50 or 60% telling you to head in the other direction, what do you reckon is likely to happen? So the result of this is going to be, for most of us, confusion. Because we tell ourselves to do something. Now, just tell me if I'm the only person in the room who's had this. Have any of you found yourself walking towards a fridge in your house saying to yourself, I'm not going to eat that piece of cakes in the fridge. I'm not. I'm just going to check to see if it's safe. Meanwhile, the conscious brain's not talking to you. If we could get the subconscious and convert it into English, what it would be saying is, listen, pal, I'm in charge of your legs. Guess where we're going? And when we get there, I'm sending one of your hands out to grab the fridge door and yank it open. I'm going to send your other hand in to grab the cake and I'm going to shove it down your throat. And the reason we're going to do that is even I can tell you're not hungry, mate, but we're bored shitless. So while you're eating the cake, does the conscious brain shut up? Because like, yeah, what would it say? As the last mouthful's going down your throat, does it start up again? How many of you know, what does it say? So most of us get the feeling that we're trapped in a body with an idiot. And I don't know if any of you have had it. Don't yell at kids, don't yell at the kids, don't yell at the kids. Any of you had that, or am I the only one? Yeah, so we get confused about that. We're not too sure what to do. So what we've got to look at is how the brain works and what it does, and that'll give us the answer. So what the unconscious brain does is it handles all that coma stuff, you know, breathing, digestion, heartbeat, all the rest of it. And I don't really want to talk much about it because, you know, it's very vague and difficult to do research in. Is it okay if we move on? Okay. But really what we're saying is if that was the only computer that was switched on, then you'd be in a coma. Subconscious, much more interesting. This is where we go to sleep. So how many of you are aware that your brain's still active while you're asleep? Cool. Let's put that over the side. This is also where you are creative. This is where you come up with new ideas. Now, I don't mean artistic ability. I mean your ability to solve a problem or to get a flash or a piece of understanding. Does that make sense? Okay. Also in here is intuition. Intuition is that feeling that you know something, but you can't explain why you know it. A good word for it, a common expression is gut feel. So how many of you have had gut feel about a person? You know, like this one's telling the truth, this one isn't, that kind of thing. So we call that intuition. Also in here is memory. Now I hope I don't have to describe memory to you, but how many of you had a memory blank? Yeah, what do you reckon we forget quickest? People's names. So you ever been introduced to somebody and 15 seconds after you don't really know who you're talking to anymore? And that happens so commonly in our culture that we're used to it and we have strategies for it. And so if somebody says to you, oh, sorry, what's your name again? We don't say, listen, you half-wit, I just told you. We go, oh, yeah, I know what it's like. That's normal stuff. But hands up if you have more than one child. Okay, this is going to bother us and you. More than one child? Okay, so keep your hands up because you did it. So leave your hands up if you've looked at one of these kids and called by the other one's name. Yeah. Guess what your kids reckon? They've been fairly certain that you're losing it, but this is final proof. Because they're standing there while you're going, Roy, Robert, Rupert, what's your name? And don't lie to me because you live here and I will find out your name. They're standing there going, if anyone in the whole freaking world should remember who I am, it's the clown who gave me the name in the first place. And we're blah, blah, blah. And I tell you, you're in trouble, aren't you, when you give them the dog's name, hey? Have any of you walked into a room in your house and thought, what did I come here for? Yeah, it doesn't make you feel intelligent, huh? So what those things have got in common is they come and go. So you'll all notice that. How many of you have been